come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I'm Sid Part 2. Joining me today is...
A Geek for Fun.
Yes, we're tentatively back for fan film reviews and fan project reviews. We'll try to keep these going. I really do miss doing them. It's just, life stuff, so... But I do want to do back to them. They're only half an hour of recording time, so we'll see if we can make these happen again more regularly. Alfie, what are we reviewing today?
Today we were reviewing something you made me just watch. A pair of videos that are kind of come together to make one whole, and that is the Deadpool musicals 1 and 2.
Indeed. So this is something I just found out about. A friend at work was talking about him yesterday, and he sent me a text with the first one today. And I watched it, and I was just... One, I was very impressed. It's a very... you hear Deadpool the musical, and I'm expecting, And the background I do know on it, or at least that I've heard, I don't know if it's actually accurate or not. I'm expecting, maybe some guys in their backyard kind of situation, or some film in a basement, but this is like a full-on production, and the second one even more so. So I was just very impressed by the end product here. And this, honestly, it's very much in line with the movie's sense of humor. Couple of the costuming and stuff gets it just a little below where it's obviously it's not made by the movie crew and everything, but man, they really do sell this. I was very impressed by this.
Yeah, me too. Specifically while we're on the costume thing, because I'm such a suit snob. The Deadpool replica suit that they have is spot on. It's the exact same textured kind of leather looking fabric that they use in the actual movie. The mask, the face shell they use is spot on Ryan Reynolds. It's really impressive. I think I know the maker who makes it is Alpha, I believe, who's the one who's the top end of making the Deadpool things, and they ain't cheap. So you can tell by the rest of the production of this little fan series that they've definitely got some money behind it for the amount of people they do, the locations and stuff they do. But I wouldn't be surprised, because I know how much Alpha puts for again, it's movie 1-to-1. If the Deadpool suit was the thing that most of the budget was spent on at first, because again, that's no joke. That thing is legit.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is, and it kind of completely overshadows everything else in the first one, because you've got Rogue, Black Widow, and is it Psylocke? I don't know who the fucking other one was.
It's Psylocke. It's Betsy Braddock.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I don't know enough about Marvel. You have them show up in the first one, and their costumes are pretty good. They're on proper cosplayer level things. It's not just Halloween store rental or anything like that. But just, yeah, he's really, that outfit really does overshadow everyone. And I mean, it's kind of funny because in the first one, I wasn't sure at first if they switched outfits between the things. The more I looked at them, I'm pretty sure it's probably the same one, and just they got better at filming it between the two, because at first it doesn't look as good in the first one as it does in the second. And so it either had to be an outfit swap, or they learned how to light and film it better.
Yeah, I think
the other thing I was impressed by was the motion capture for the eye effect, which just does work insanely well for Deadpool, and it looks really good here too.
And that's something that I imagine again, also like ramped up the cost a little bit because you'd have to put tracking dots on that face shell if they did what they did in the movie and keep it on the whole time, and then kind of like digitally edit out so it matches the rest of the suit and stuff. So that's not and especially with how much he moves around in that. That's not hard. That's not easy tracking work. That takes some dedication. So this team definitely cared about it. And I think the reason why I want to put that out first is because it kind of applies to the rest of the thing. Is this definitely was done with love. This has definitely got a big appreciation for the character of Deadpool, and kind of like the classic Disney style musicals, and like the fun of wanting to do one where it doesn't really exist to make fun of the idea and say, it's just more so to have fun by doing it. It's there's no like statement here, there's no like subversion or anything. It's just Deadpool would kick ass in a musical, so let's just make one kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it does really, really work for him just as a character, to do this, and like you could almost do a thing like this could be just an issue of the Deadpool comic, as a story premise is Deadpool's off doing a musical and everyone else is just going about their normal Marvel Universe lives. Meanwhile, like, he's dancing and prancing and singing around because he's the only one that can hear the music, and anytime they're talking to him, they're probably just talking normally, but he hears them as if they're singing or whatever. That'd be a fun premise, and it works really well here. To just see this level of parody is a lot of fun. I think I definitely enjoyed the second one more, because that was the one where it's like, you can tell they probably always wanted to make the second one, and the first one was like kind of their limited like vision of it, and then the second one is where they just got to go all out. They got the huge cast, they got everything together. I was looking at it, the first video has 10 million views, and I think the second one's right on track with it too, even though it was released over a year later. And it's just crazy to imagine 10 million viewed video. So it's just, again, I was just very, very impressed by the technical aspect of it, if nothing else, and I really, really enjoyed it for that. Also, like, this is my bad comic snob opinion of, I actually like Deadpool. I do think the raunchy, silly, fourth wall breaking, ridiculous, over the top humor is funny, and I don't know, that I sometimes find myself alone on that one, and I just hear people talk about how annoying Deadpool is, and I'm just like, he funny, he say funny thing and shoot people and is good.
And it's really funny because the people who'll say that is a common trend, it seems to be, the bigger self-proclaimed Deadpool fans. Tend to be the ones that are more annoyed by, I guess, that portrayal of him. But even then, like, I've seen people say, "Oh, Deadpool got like meme-ified by like other stuff," and I'm like, I don't really agree with that, because even when he was created as a parody character to begin with, then he's certainly being exaggerated. But I don't think that's the case of him losing his character. I think that's just a taste of how we do humor in comics changing over time, and like the different humor sensibilities of different writers are going to find different things funny. And as a mainly comedy character, it makes sense. His approach to that would be like, sometimes it's more referential, sometimes it's more dry and stuff like that. And I feel like the different tones you go for the different versions. So this is definitely, like you said at the beginning, aping the Ryan Reynolds version of Deadpool, where it's that very kind of dry, very not exactly exaggerated, but just in the terms of like just how Ryan Reynolds talks is how Deadpool kind of talks in that. And if you know Ryan Reynolds is human, just in an interview, he's got a very distinct brand of kind of blunt humor that becomes like the absurdity of his bluntness kind of gets away with it. And I think that works for like a fourth wall breaking character like Deadpool, because you can have him like, again, there's the actor who plays Deadpool here. I don't know if it's like a dubbing job, but like the actor doesn't actually, like, either way it's a dubbing job because it's a musical, it's so clear, and that voice and that facial would be more like, that's what you'd actually sound like on set, because that's what you sound like in a Spider-Man costume like that. So he wouldn't be either way. I don't know if that's like a stunt actor in the suit and then a VA who does the voice, but the voice of Deadpool is definitely trying to mimic a Ryan Reynolds impression, and it's not spot on, but like the tone of it is right, the affectations are right, the like emphasis on certain words on what makes it work, that you can buy. It's the same kind of gags, you know.
It's a hard thing to hit, because the actor doing it has to simultaneously do a Ryan Reynolds impression while singing. You know, like, that's not easy. I think my temptation is to believe that they went for the person, at least for the voice, who could do the best Ryan Reynolds voice, and just kind of, even though it was planned as a musical, kind of just let his singing be whatever it was. Because it's not the most impressive from like a singing voice perspective. There's times where like I feel a note should be being carried longer than it is, and it's hard to say if that's due to the actor, due to the choice of the impressionistic performance, or if it's due to the fact that especially the second one, is a very relatively short video that is covering multiple songs. Like, I had to show it to Haley because she's a huge Little Mermaid fan, and so when it got to be the part of a team, get it? It's an 80s reference. Like, that's a really funny joke and everything, but you know, you listen to Part of Your World, and that last note goes on for a while. It is a longer note, and so I'm not sure if that's cut short because of the actor or because of time restraints for the length of the video planning. You know, I find that kind of interesting to think on, but it definitely, it's certainly not the only case. That's just the one that I think stood out to me the most. Is a lot of the notes and delivery in that sense felt, again, not necessarily rushed, but definitely shorter than the actual songs are, and I'm not sure what exactly contributed to that, if it's one thing, the other, maybe a mix of both.
Yeah, I think that tracks. Because again, when you're going to something like this, you have to make the creative decision kind of from the outset, right? What do we prioritize here? Do we prioritize the song, or do we prioritize the comedy? We can do both, but like even like comedy bands like Ninjas X by will have songs that are more focused on the jokes than the act of it just being a standalone song, and then you'll have songs which are more focused on being actual songs, but will have jokes in them. You know, I think that just when you're approaching something as big as this, you kind of have to make that decision. So I think that's what it came down to, is like, okay, we mostly want this to be a funny thing that people can pick on YouTube and kind of enjoy for that, because we know we might not be the greatest singers in the world or anything, but we have a funny script, and we've got really good directing, we've got great costumes. We can make it work on that aspect. Kind of working within your limitations, which I think is something all fans should kind of consider and like keep in mind when they're starting their own projects, of like, what's the scope of this thing, what can we do. So on the first one particularly, I feel like that was very aware, because it's only in one location. They got access to like a bar location, a bunch of stunt doubles, the 3 cosplayer actresses, and then the Deadpool suit. And with that, you can do a lot, but it could still look really cheap. I think the thing that impressed me the most throughout this entire 2 video things is this is really well directed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the director of this is the star, like, for me at least. Like, this is something that, like, even with like a beautifully designed Deadpool suit, if you don't know how to shoot that thing or make it look right, or just like to film an action scene or do the cutaways right and make it flow, it's gonna look cheap. Like, again, like you see fan films on YouTube and stuff where they'll have like a perfectly made suit, but it will still look like someone filming a home video in their backyard or something.
Mm.
This feels official. This feels like someone who knows how to light shots, someone who knows how to do the right like cutaways for the gag, someone who knows how to film an action sequence, which are like the majority of these videos are just a bunch of well choreographed action sequences. Knows how to do like just distinct, well done shots, like when Deadpool gets shot in the hand, and then like he has to shoot the guy on the ground, and they frame the shot so that the guy's head is visible through the bullet hole in Deadpool's hand, and then he gets shot, so it's like focused on the frame like a bullet. That's really smart shit. That's really that's a great Deadpool shot. Like, you put that in a film, and that would be people like, oh my god, one perfect shot on Twitter. I will repost it like that. That's really creative shit. That's not amateur work. That's someone put a really great thought into that and did a really good storyboard. I'm imagining to get that to work. And that's something that's very rare with fan films, to find someone of that rectorial talent, at least, bring it all together in such a thing. And then when we get to the second one, where the scope is created, and you've got so many different actors doing so many different things, and to be able to direct all of them and make it work, it's just like, I gotta throw my hands up. It's incredible. It's a massive testament to the director.
Yeah. And it's interesting because even though like things are done very well, I think most of the problems with this come from the first one. That's the one that feels the most like they are still learning. Because the story, again, I found out about this from a friend at work, and the story he told me is like the first one was made as kind of like a film school or theater or something final project, like senior final kind of thing. And so, if that is the case, I can definitely believe it because, like we said earlier, the suit just doesn't quite look as good in that first one, and it's possible it's a different suit in the second one, but you and I both don't think it is. We think it's just the way it was shot, the way it was lit in the first one was different.
I think and it might even just be that they had more money because they got a 10 million view YouTube video, so they could just get a better camera.
Yeah, certainly that's a possibility. So like the first one has like, you know, the costume doesn't look as well. But you mentioned the shot of the hand. I agree. Like as far as like how that's framed, how that's timed and everything, I think that's all really really cool. I think it lingers a little too long and kind of shows you how the sausage is made, so to speak, if you understand like how effects work is and stuff like that. So I don't know if that hand is with the hole in it is a practical prop that's like there on set in front of the camera, or if it was something made in post and then put in front of the frame. Regardless, it's just the way it sits in the frame is just for like that touch too long, and it's not, it doesn't look alive, it's not moving, it like, even though it's a not really meant to move, there's no shake to it because you can't just hold your hand up perfectly still. There'll always be like some kind of shake, some variation, whatever it is, and that one is just so perfectly still. That it definitely occurred to me is like, okay, that's kind of showing the effect a little bit too much. But again, the impressive thing is, by the time you get to the second one, you really don't have that anymore. Even like your squibs, your blood splatters and stuff, like, I'm sure some of it's digital. There's a point at which like he slices someone's throat and like the Deadpool logo appears and stuff on screen, and I'm like, obviously that part is digital integrated, but I don't know how much of it is. It's just done so well. They really do make a lot of leaps and strides between the two videos. It's very very impressive. But even then, you know, you can maybe make the case that the second one went even bigger than it necessarily should have, because it is really cool that you have the larger cast and everything to really get that proper Marvel Universe feel out of it, but then there are noticeable disparities in the level of quality for the costumes. because like your X-Men, my God, the X-Men costumes look great. You know, put that shit in a movie. Like, that was fantastic.
I also
Even
know where those ones come from as well. That's
oh
how much of a
yeah.
suit stuff I have. Yeah, those come from a store called White Sheep Leather, which is a
Uh-huh.
really great place. Well, again, I wish I was sponsored by this. Get the Geeky Gentleman sponsor for you, but they'll you can send them like a sketch of a suit or something, and they'll make a custom like fabric version of it in the style of like the Captain America costumes.
Oh,
So you
nice.
can like the Wolverine one, the Beast one, the Cyclops one. They're all made by that company because I recognize the makers. And they've got it on their site. You can buy that Wolverine one. They've got like there's like a jacket version. You can just get it.
Uh,
It's just like a jacket to wear around. Um, so like I recognize all of that, and again, yeah, that's a really high quality way of getting the X-Men ones, which again they didn't have to, because if it's in the Deadpool universe, then I guess they'd have to do like the kind of easier black leather ones, which you can
mm-hmm.
just pick up pretty easy. It's just any biker outfit, just put the yellow decals on them, and there you go, X-Men. But they went out of their way to like because you can't custom commission them. The custom commission like original X-Men movie design costumes that look legit, and it's just like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the Wolverine actor maybe could have been built different to make that costume kind of hit a little bit better, but the actual material of the suit itself and the execution of it and everything looks really really good, especially for like we got Beast in this, and then we get Sasquatch. And I'm like, those are
Beast looked so good. Like Sasquatch too, but Beast I was very impressed by because he's one of those characters where I don't know if you could do him practically on film, and this made a really good case that you could get pretty damn close.
I
You
mean, he
know?
looks pretty good in X-Men 3 as well, and that's practical.
Yeah, at parts. No, you're right. You're right. That one is 100% practical.
The original,
Um,
the modern X-Men ones is like, again, we're loath to praise anything X-Men, don't worry, but
yeah.
the Kelsey Grammer Beast does look good, and this gave me that vibes of what it looked like.
Uh,
It looked really really good.
yeah, I did really like that. So that one looked really good. But then there were like other ones like I know he's not in it for very long, so there's no reason to go like to that level with the costume. But like Black Panther, when you see him, it is like a really basic looking costume. Like looks like it might have just been Halloween store version or something. And some of the other ones like the Iron Man one is, I believe, a practical costume that we're seeing. But I think it's one of those ones that's like made out of foam or plastic or whatever. That people obviously put a whole lot of work to, and it's like it looks great at a con, but it doesn't necessarily look as good on film, you know. And it's hard to justify that when you put it up. So it's like, while the first film is a really good testament to the working and limitations, I think the second one is also an interesting testament into what can tend to happen when you push past those limitations, and how sometimes I think the hype of the audience can like arguably over encourage the creators to do things that they otherwise would have been more like reserved to do in the past. Um, which is a good thing. I see that happen with fan projects quite often, and fan films and stuff. Is the first one tends to be, or early on, it tends to be very, very stripped down, very basic to what they know they can do well. Um, and then as they grow in popularity, they get more bold, and some of those seams start to show more. And so that's what I think happened here. But at the same time, it's all pretty subtle. It's not like anything looks bad. It's all just things don't quite look as good as some of the other things, which I think is a pretty decent problem to have.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's a case as well of you get the gag right of what the musical's about. Like, what's the premise? Is Deadpool wants to join a superhero team and he's making different songs about it. Okay, that's funny. That's something to work with as your video. You don't necessarily, when you make that decision, consider the logistics of, oh, now we have to make all of these costumes. Because they're like, oh yeah, but we were planning on doing something with the X-Men, so like, we've already got like some X-Men characters in it, and we can get the X-Men costumes. Yeah. Oh man, those X-Men costumes kind of cost a pretty penny, but the script says we have the Avengers as well, and oh no, it's just like a real like, all right, I think what happened with the Avengers one as well, because there's that bit on scene where it's multiple different characters all on screen at once that looks like they were shot at their own home video with like a green screen.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point they probably actually just tried to get as many local cosplayers or cosplayers that would work with them as they could. And some of them are obviously better than others. Like there's Ant-Man's on there for a second, and Ant-Man's looks legit. Ant-Man's got a good costume. The Cap one's alright. The Cap one's got a good helmet, good suit, but you can tell it's not as high end as the Deadpool one. The one that annoyed me, because he's the same costume in both of them, is I hate that Spider-Man costume because it's... I had that one when I was like 15, dude. And I'm just like, dude, you could have come to me and I could have made you a better Spider-Man costume than that. So that's the personal one for me. That was like, they could have got a better Spider-Man one because it's faded and everything. You can see how stretched out it is. It's just like, oh no.
Well, they got the one from this kid who had it since he was 15, and he just kind of threw it away, and they got it out of his trash.
It's literally what it is, man.
It's
so that
a whole
was
situation.
I feel like it's just a case of maybe the song should have just been about Deadpool trying to get in the X-Men. Because like the weird thing as well is they got Puck at the end of this from I forget what the Canadian
Alpha Flight.
From Alpha Flight, yeah, thank you. And Puck's costume is like completely original. It looks great. Like his one's textured and everything. It was like, well, Puck had a bigger budget than Cap, I guess. But,
yeah, I think you're probably right that like a lot of these were likely favors called in, or people like that watched the first one was like, oh man, I got this really good Cap cosplay. Can I be in the thing? Because that happens a lot, and I certainly applaud them for including people, because that's kind of a hard thing to turn down, because if some of these things were shot just a little bit better, like you could imagine, especially like the Iron Man one, let's focus on that, like you can totally see pictures of that everything would look like metal, everything about it would look perfect, in the right conditions. But then what might have happened, the reason why it might be showing some of the seams, as it were, is on set, in front of a green screen, they could make the Deadpool costume look good, or they could make the Iron Man costume look good. But they might not have been able to find the way to thread the needle to make them both look good. And so they had to make a decision, and since Deadpool's the main focus, that's the one you go for, you know?
And I think as well, for the case of like specifically Iron Man, and so again to kind of offer like just opinions and advice of like fan films in general, consider where your location is with the character's specific scene, right? It's a lot easier to make something like an Iron Man suit look legit when it's not in the middle of the bright day. That kind of exposes all of your... and against like a flying green screen. Like, as cool as it is, and as funny as the gag is with Deadpool like holding onto Iron Man from behind and trying to like plow his
cheeks. Well, I mean,
I
I think you could actually make a good argument that it would have made more sense if they'd done it like in a night sky kind of thing.
Yeah,
because the scene with Aladdin and Jasmine's that they're parodying in that scene is at night.
You could have... yeah, you're right, 100%. Like, again, if you've got something that doesn't necessarily look as convincing when you're in the middle of the bright day, go to a darker scene, pick some mood lighting, get some purples and blues or whatever colors they are, because I can't tell them what they are, but I heard they sound good. But you can get away with a lot, because really you can. That's kind of the trick that you see with a lot of superhero films, is that you go on set, and some of these costumes don't even look that impressive, but then you get them in camera, and the way the lighting hits them when you get them, they look incredible. So I think that's a good lesson to consider when, again, you're working with budget constraints. Just put it at night instead, and you can get away with a lot more. Again, it's not like it was offending my eyes or it was on screen or anything. I still think it worked, and it still really worked for the scene. But like just in terms of like that extra little bit of polish, does go a long way sometimes.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's done exceptionally well. I think the fact that this is parody comedy work, you can get away with some of those, less believable costumes. This is still some of the best costuming I've seen in a fan film, I would say. Particularly one of this scale, to throw this many characters in and stuff. This looks like really good collectively. I gotta give him props for that. Yeah, that's about all I think I had on this. Did you have a favorite song that they parodied along the way?
I really like the first Gaston one. It was, that's just one of my favorite Disney songs in general, and I think it fits Deadpool really well. I also really like the it's from Frozen. I can't remember the name of the song, but like when can you hear me? Like, yeah, I really like that one. How they did that one, I think is really good. So yeah, most of these were like all good, but those two probably my favorites.
Yeah, no, those are all great. I really like the Part of Your World parody part, being part of a team, because it's just a very Deadpool motivation too. Like that's been a real thing that he's done in the comics and stuff. So I thought that was pretty clever connection. And then that's the one that has the best joke with Blind Al, who is also just hilarious in this. He called her Wakanda Sykes, and I cried laughing at that. That was really funny to me.
The actress who did Al in this as well is really good.
Yeah, totally. So I really enjoyed this one. All right, let's go ahead and go into ratings then. I'll give this 4.5 out of 5. Psych Disney princesses all along.
For me, I'll give this one a... together I think they make a really solid 4 out of 5. Alfie's used Spider-Man costumes.
Alrighty. Good stuff. Alfie, I'll ask, you don't have to pick anything unless you have something off the top of your head. Do you have a fan thing you want us to review next time, or you want to wait and pick something out?
Yeah, because I've been waiting for this one for a hot minute, actually. You might want to see if we can... No, we'll just do this. I want to fan film review the animated short, like it's about like half an hour in total, Wrath of Nazar. It's a Sonic animated fan film. Okay,
The Wrath of Nazar. Alright, sounds good. Until next time, everyone, thank you very much for watching. I'm the Philosopher.
I'm a champion of the oppressed. I was messed up.
I'm a champion of the oppressed. There are multiple ones. And we are here, Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.